Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the 21st episode of Tales of Tamriel. We are now old enough to drink. Yes, we are legal to drink now as a podcast. I am your humble host, Aggelos, and with me this evening, she who is dazzled by shiny things, Face. How are you doing this afternoon, my dear?
I am doing fantastic. It's it's a warm, wonderful day. So I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. Was out in the pool earlier, and there are less anacondas now, so that's a plus. Still can't see my feet, but I'm getting a little further down as we go, so it's clearing up ever so slowly, and it's quite an adventure, and I'm scared. I may have caught something from the pool, I'm not really sure. It's pretty bad. Okay, well, we'll move on from our introductions real quick. Sadly, there was not a lot of news to go over this week. They seem to do very little in light of E3 happening this week, and sadly, even at E3, they didn't really reveal much worth speaking about. Though generally, that's the impression I get about E3 this year as a whole. It was meh, nothing really exciting at all to be had at E3. Well, hopefully you won't feel the same way about this show, so let's go ahead and see what we prepared for this week. Moving into the game news, first thing we have is ESO Heads to E3. They didn't have a lot to show us at E3, but what they did do before they got there was they released a kind of a neat little trailer, if you will. I applaud them for that, and I do like trailers of of gameplay, and it was kind of like their trailer they showed at E3. It was pretty neat. I liked it. But it was a standard no thrills kind of. You got to see some fighting, you got to see some scenery, dramatic cameras flying through. It was pretty cool. Face, I know you're a fan of different trailers. What do you think of them releasing a trailer for E3? It's not like anything super special. It's pretty much just very little gameplay. What do you think?
It may be pretty and flashy, and they always do really well with their trailers. But come on, this is all you got, really? I guess I feel kind of disappointed that that they didn't bring much at all.
You know what the sad part is? Other than this video, the only thing that really sparked interest in E3 is something we're going to talk about in our host rant, our discussion topic. Is something they're not even doing. The only thing that people were interested in, they're like, yeah, no, that's not in the game. So, yeah. E3, especially for ZeniMax, they might as well not even have went. I mean, to be honest, they just is a waste of time. Waste of time from their group. It was just bad. But there is a video out there if you haven't seen it. It's called Live Another Life. It's decent for a trailer, but it's not going to rock your socks. Okay, we're going to move on to the next section. They did release a new patch this week, version 1.1.4. The overview of the patch is they did additional fixes for gameplay and quest, as well as some miscellaneous fixes, including achievements. Now, I'm going to say first thing, they did fix the issue that I know a lot of us were having where after, what was the patch? 1.2, I think it was? I can't remember. I think it was 1.2. It was the Craglorn patch, where it wiped out our achievement status for the quests. Like in all the different zones where it's like completed X of X quests, 0 of 60 some, it reset it all back to nothing. And you lost those points. I can confirm those are working now. However, they did not fix the issue. I know both Thais and I have, and I'm assuming the entire populace as a whole, but I'd be interested to hear from our listener base whether or not you guys have the same issue, is especially the other two factions. Ebonheart Pact in the very last zone, East March, there were 3 specific achievements, something I don't know, killing Lob in one of the quests, the King's Arrow, and saving Jarun, the Scald King. Those three achievements, which you were supposed to get for finishing these long story arcs, we never got. Like, never once. They're only like 5-point achievements, but I haven't got them, and they haven't fixed them here. They only fixed the resetting. So I'm kind of curious if other Ebonheart Pact players are also missing those same three, as well as I'm curious if Aldmari Dominion and Daggerfall Covenant are missing the last three from their final zones, or any, to be honest, that you think you should have got. You were looking through the notes earlier, Thace. Did you find one thing you thought was interesting? You mentioned to me in the pre-show.
Yeah, they mess with sorcerers, which just makes me sad because from what I remember, they they had already done something to Bolt escape, and then they mentioned it again, and I guess I don't quite understand. But what it says for sorcerer and stormcalling, Bolt escape. After using Bolt escape, the next use within 4 seconds costs 50% more. That's a lot. Wow. And then it also says Endless Fury, Mage's Fury Morph. This ability now restores magicka when you kill enemies with it as intended. I thought that was a little wonky. So I'm glad they fixed that. And they're still continuing to do adjustments, which is really good to see.
Yeah, like it looks like you definitely got at least one fix for the Endless Fury, but I'm curious of whether or not the Bolt escape was that change was put in because remember there was a bug going out where sorcerers were just using it over and over and over and over again and got like halfway across the map. I think it was also tied to a unlimited magicka bug, but I think what they're trying to do with this is limit, because even if a sorcerer in PvP, for instance, decides he doesn't want to fight, if he has full magicka, he can just bolt, 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 until he's out of magicka, and he'll be so far away there's no way to kill him. I'm assuming the reason why they're doing this is to limit that, so it's kind of, you should really only use it once. If you want to use it more as an escape mechanic, you're going to pay for it.
I actually don't even have this unlocked yet. I've been very picky about the skills that I choose, and I guess. Oh wait, okay. I guess I'll save this for when we get to our tail section. So, all right. But yes, that they did fix that, and it was exciting to see that they are still making changes.
Oh yeah. They're definitely, this patch was a lot of fixes and stuff like that. And here's one that I know people were complaining about. In Coldharbour, the Lights of Meridia, you'll now receive the achievement if you chose to side with the Warriors. We talked about this, I think, 2 weeks ago. I think the Warriors are referring to the Argonians down where you had to either choose the Scholars or the Warriors. We chose the Scholars anyway, so it didn't affect us. So when people were complaining about it in zone chat, going, I didn't get this achievement, I'm like, well, I did. Well, now I realize why they didn't. We know who they picked. So that was the patch notes. Go out and read them if you're interested, if you're looking for a specific quest or something. There wasn't a whole lot of changes otherwise, and it's mostly just bug fixes. So that was patch 1.1.4. Continuing the trend of their weekly, I guess, community events, if you will, or community corner, they released another Battlemaster corner, and this one is the Dragonknight Healer. I guess if Dragonknights are OP as it is, you might as well make them do every other job in the world. I mean, come on.
It's actually pretty funny. As soon as I looked at this and I read to myself the Dragonknight Healer, I had the same exact thought. They can already out DPS. They can already outlive. Now they can out heal my Breton sorcerer. That's just great. What am I needed for now?
Well, it's also weird if they do the bound armor. No, they don't have bound armor. I'm sorry. The infused armor, I think it is. I'm sorry, Dragon Knights. Your class is OP, so I refuse to touch it. It's one where it's like spiked armor. It will actually give you benefits that you can keep it going. So they can wear full light armor, cast spiked armor, and have essentially up to plate level protection as a healer. And they can pretty much keep it spamming because keeping full light armor, they'll have constant magicka regen. So yeah, the guy says during beta he tried different builds, and the one that he liked most with the Dragonknight was with the Restoration Staff. So now he's playing an Altmer Dragonknight healer, and he says who is also a woodworker, a smith, and a clothier. She's currently VR1 and uses light armor with a few heavy armor pieces for extra durability. So, where's the crafted Song of the Lamia set? But at the moment, she simultaneously has the Magicka Furnace set. That's pretty neat. So, I guess what he has for his weapon sets is he's using the Restoration Staff, Defending Trait, Fire Enchantment. Interesting. He does Inhale, Immovable, which is from the heavy armor, if I remember correctly. Dragon's Blood, Dark Talons, Lava Whip, and he's using Magma Armor as his ultimate. He goes on to say that Dark Talons and Inhale work wonders in the middle of a group of mobs. Lava Whip is the weapon of choice against one enemy. I occasionally use a heavy attack to restore Magicka. Unstoppable is the only stamina ability in this setup, so I can use it pretty often. Corrosive Armor, with both Battle Roar passives, is a gigantic panic button as it combines super strong damage mitigation with heavy burst restore on all primary stats. Yeah. Considering the fact stamina builds are pretty much broken at the moment anyway, you pretty much want to stay away from stamina. Now, he has a second weapon set that he says he uses for group and healing, group play and healing. He's using a Restoration Staff with a power trait and armor reduction enchant. He uses Blessing of Protection, Immovable, Regeneration, Steadfast Ward, Obsidian Shield, and Magma Armor yet again. Morph Regeneration is the best and most cost-effective heal in the game, in my opinion. My choice is Mutation for the Morph. I keep it on all the time in group dungeons. When you add... What is that? You know what that word is? I'm sorry. Igneous, thank you. Igneous Shield and Combat Prayer to that at the start of the fight. Tanks and DPS will have a strong and safe start. I refresh Combat Prayer occasionally when I can get at least 2 group members in front of me, but I don't try to keep it up on them all the time. When someone's health gets low, I use Healing Ward followed by Combat Prayer. He apparently says he uses this in Cyrodiil as well. I use Mutation less, but Igneous Shield and Combat Prayer are great because you can hit a lot of people with them. He also uses Shield for siege weapon users because it gives them some peace of mind. Corrosive Armor, again, is a panic button. I love the versatility as she is durable, can heal, and has strong AoE skills. The build's main weakness is dealing damage to a strong single target like bosses. Well, I mean, it's a Dragonknight, so the only thing that would make it more OP is if it was a vampire, too. There you go, guys. It is the Battlemaster Corner. Check out the Dragonknight healer. And let me know what you think, because I mean, I know you can use everything. Every class can do everything. And I know that the Destruction Flame Staff is a big one for Dragonknights. But I haven't really heard of a lot of Restoration Staff users, especially as Dragonknight. What do you think?
I think it's interesting. If I was to ever attempt a Dragonknight, which I don't foresee in the future, I could see myself trying this because I enjoy healing so much that this would probably be something I would give a try. I might tweak a few things if I was a Dragonknight, maybe more heavy armor pieces, especially if you're going towards using Magicka, you might want the more defense. But it's pretty interesting how this person was able to mix these two things together.
Right. And actually, from what I remember hearing, is Restoration Staff is almost the best thing to use no matter what class you are. Like, even my Templar, almost everyone that I've been hearing that's been healing on a Templar refuses to use Templar abilities with the exception of maybe Purify. That's about it, because the Templar abilities are very high cost for the amount of heal that you do. Most of the people I see that use Templar heals are DPS builds that want I need to make sure I can heal myself button like I do, because it's not mana efficient at all. So, interesting. Moving on to the next section again. This is pretty much all we got, folks, just so you know. It's all their community outlet reach stuff. It is the guild spotlight, and this time I like the guild that they're doing, the Old Timers Guild. Now, I know these guys have been around for a long time, originally formed back in 2005 for a DDO beta, according to this. They have an age restriction that you need to be 25 or up, which I like. I'm older now, so I like that whole keep the kids away from me kind of thing. So that's really neat. Now, this is a multi-gaming community more than a guild, as you will, and they have over 8,000 members in chapters across a whole bunch of different games. Because I know, actually, for instance, I'm going to break off here. I think they're allied with the Mog Nation Gaming in WildStar, so they're grouped up together for some sort of cooperative play. I'm not really sure at the moment. I haven't talked to Cash lately, but I do remember that they are allied with them in WildStar, so they're a very, very big group of people. And if you're interested in joining, you should check them out. Again, you got to be 25 or older. This is for us old geezers out there. It's oldtimersguild.com. If you're interested in checking out the rest of the article, it is on the main webpage. Definitely a good guild to actually pick. It's a really, really, really popular guild. Okay, the last bit of news we have this week, again, is another one of their community programs, and this is the Adventure Handbook issue number 3. Now, same thing is, this Adventure Handbook is just a collection of player-created guides, and this week they're featuring guides about healing, enchanting, and lore. So it looks like they have an enchanting one from ElderScrollsOnline.info has an enchanting guide out there. I'm actually probably going to have to give that a read, because enchanting for me is just going terribly, terribly slow. Next up, they have a forum poster, Tiny Thinker. That's pretty awesome. Has taken time to compile some useful tips for healers. And that's out there on the official Elder Scrolls Online forums. You can get to it directly from the link in here. And the last link for today, and it's the one that I love the most, is the Imperial Library. So it's nice to see that they're finally being honored with something from the official site, because I know we did a community spotlight out for the Imperial Library a couple weeks back. We love the Imperial Library. We rip all of our books from them, so if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have a reading, because I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty lazy. There's no way I'd have the game up and copy it, word for word. If I can't copy paste, I'm not doing it. There, you can see how lazy I really, really am. But it's true. So, Imperial Library, go out and check them out. They are wonderful. So, that is the end of our news for this week. We're going to move on to our next topic, which is our discussion/host rant. And it's going to be pretty short for this week, but I did want to mention this because there's been a lot of chatter around the net and around the Elder Scrolls community about something that ZeniMax showed at E3. I'm going to give everyone a little bit of a preface here. When they came in, they actually hooked up 9 computers at E3, and they actually set up a small zone in Cyrodiil. I think it's in Cyrodiil. It was like a little arena where there was a flag in the center, and 3 people sat down, and you picked an alliance, and it was 3 versus 3 versus 3 map. Now, when people were excited to play this at E3, people got in here, this is so cool! I can't wait to go home and actually try it. And the devs were like, "Oh, well, this isn't in the game. We only set this up for conventions." They have no plans, and I'm going to stress this, everyone, no plans to add this into the game yet. And I say yet because, of course, they're being cryptic, and they're like, "Oh, well, if enough fans say that they want it, then we'll add it." I'm gonna call a little bit of BS on ZeniMax right now because this is a little bit of a rant going on. People have been wanting arenas from the start, guys. So saying, oh, if people want this kind of thing, we'll add it. People have been asking for this smaller types of PvP for a long time. A long time, ZeniMax. Hold on. I'm just going to check. Hold on. Checking my audio volume. Make sure that my mic's on. ZeniMax, can you hear me? People want this for a long time. Dear heaven above, take a clue. 3v3 v3 arenas. What do you feel about this?
Well, I'm a little scared right now at your tone and yelling at your PC. I mean, everyone knows. Anyone who listens to the podcast knows how I feel about PvP. And what did Deltia call them? The PvP meatheads? Yes, okay. It would be interesting because it would be a type of arena that no one has really seen yet. So it would certainly be interesting, and it would be different, and you would have to think way differently to go about a 3v3v3 than you would, 2-on-2. If a lot of people want this, it definitely should be something that they should put in. They should try it, see how it goes, see what people can make of it. The only problem with that is I think the classes would need a little more balancing. And it would also we would also need
What class balance are you talking about? No one goes into PvP unless they're a Dragonknight Vampire Sorc anyway, you know? What does it matter? There are no other classes in PvP, and if you're not a Vampire Dragonknight, you don't PvP.
A Dragonknight Vampire Sorcerer, right? Yeah.
Only if they allow multi-classing. And I guess I say Sorcerer because I mean Flame Staff, so that's what I mean by Sorcerer, not the class. It's Vampire, Dragonknight, Destruction Staff, and that's it. No other build is viable in PvP.
VR10 with a mix of heavy armor and light armor because stamina sucks. So I got this.
It's VR12 now, but yes.
All right. So all right. Well then. Wow. So no one else stands a chance. It's just that one class. But it could be something to try. It'd be interesting. I would probably give it a try, which would end horribly. I'd be throwing stuff around the house. And I guess I don't quite understand why they would set it up to tease everybody and make everybody mad and kind of like it. And then be like, no, we're just taunting you with something you can't have. It's like giving you a piece of candy, letting you taste it, and then taking it away. Not cool, ZeniMax. Not cool.
Well, in defense, I will say this for ZeniMax. The whole purpose of it is it's hard to experience Cyrodiil because we all know Cyrodiil is huge. They would need a lot of computers, and they have limited space at E3. They could only bring 9 computers, so they set this up for smaller conventions. But it's... A lot of them are like, oh no, we want to focus on Cyrodiil because we want that to be... They're afraid it'll take away from Cyrodiil. ZeniMax, Cyrodiil is dead. Seriously, PvP Cyrodiil is dead. Look at the campaigns. None of them, except for maybe one, is actually at all full anymore. All of them are low population. No one goes into Cyrodiil anymore because it's not fun. Mostly because of your love of Dragonknight, vampire sorcerers that just kill all the joy for everybody. And also the type of gameplay style that we've talked about earlier, having a longer gameplay or, campaign, people are just losing interest. But Cyrodiil is dead. Like, you go in there, I'm lucky to find people unless I attack a keep and throw it up, then maybe that one vampire sorcerer is out there, will come and wipe my entire party. That's what the problem is. They're worried about Cyrodiil being dead. PvP in Elder Scrolls Online is dead. They have too many campaigns, not enough people to fill them. Honestly, even with their mega server technology, they could get away with 3 campaigns at this point because they're never full. Ever full. So, ZeniMax, stop worrying about your Cyrodiil PvP because apparently you didn't do it right in the first time because no one cares about it. There's not enough reward, not enough to make people really want to go in there and do it. To me, Cyrodiil right now is essentially what Wintergrasp was when a battle wasn't going on. It's, I can go PvE and quest in there and hope I don't get ganked. It's an open world, free-for-all gank PvP. That's what it is. You go in there, you can gank people, but to me, I go into Cyrodiil and I PvE, because to be honest, on my campaign, I can run around anywhere on the map, and I'll be lucky if I see an enemy player. Like I really will. It's, you know, you might as well just take PvP away from our campaign, because there is none to be had. That's how I feel about it. That's how it goes. I mean, on our campaign, when the last Emperor was crowned 40-some days ago and hasn't been dethroned, that means there's no one else in there to take the stuff back. No one cares. So that's a problem. And if they're worried about their PvP dying in Cyrodiil if they release smaller games, well, it's already dead. You might as well try to get your PvPers back in another way. / rant off. Do you have anything else you want to say on this before we move on?
You did say something that I agree with. Any game that comes out with this type of PvP, they always give you way too many PvP servers to join. That's always how it is. Always. And then if you allow the option to people to change their campaign, people are always going to jump ship. If you want Cyrodiil to come back, you need to push these players together. You really need to take out some of these campaigns, some of the campaign servers. You cannot have so many. And that would be one way to bring it back. If you have less, where are people going to go? They're not going to have many choices. We're going to be stuck fighting each other. So one point I agree with you on.
Excellent. As I said, our host rant was really small, but it was just something that it was really weighing on me, especially with the rest of it. Like, the reason why they didn't want to put it in is they didn't want it to harm Cyrodiil. Well, Cyrodiil, as the gameplay that they were looking for, at least on 90% of their campaigns, is dead. Like, it's never... That second bar, you know, that medium bar, never hits for any alliance anywhere, except for, like, on Wabbajack. And maybe the 2-week PvP campaign, I haven't looked at it. But other than Wabbajack and that one, everything is low population. So essentially what they should have done is this dynamic campaign spin up. When you join Cyrodiil, the first one's created. I don't care what it, we'll call it Cyrodiil A. When it reaches its cap, Cyrodiil B forms and everyone can go into that. You started off with too many and now you have to condense them down. You should have just done one. Yeah, there might have been a little bit of gripe at one point when people are trying to get into a campaign and, oh, it's full, and ZeniMax takes time to spin up another one, depends on how long it would take them to do it, but that would have been the wiser solution, would be to do a dynamic startup of campaigns that when one is full, another one opens. But now you're sitting here with 20 campaigns that are all empty because there's not enough people. Because no one wants to play it. Because it is, you know, the type of gameplay it is unbalanced. So I'm not calling for class balance, that it has to be perfect in a one-on-one fight. But a 1-on-12 fight is a little different. One person should be able to kill 12 people, period. And that's what's happening. And that's what I think killed a lot of people. That's what I said shouldn't, didn't I? Oh, okay. Well, it shouldn't be able to. So that's your problem, ZeniMax. Might as well just release arenas and release battlegrounds now, because Cyrodiil is nothing more than a giant PvE zone where people can player kill, PK each other. That's it. You might as well make it free-for-all. Just remove all factions and just make it a free-for-all. Kill anyone you want. That would be more interesting, to be honest. Maybe something for the AD people on our side to do. Kill each other off. All right, we're going to move on to the next section of our podcast, which is the Tales of Tamriel, our favorite part. Let's start off again by talking about what our characters, like, how are we playing them now? Face, you start.
Okay, so this week I have done something a little different. Ag and I were doing questing, and we wound up in this one quest area where we had to save an NPC, and there was a person who was already there doing their quest. And as we're following behind this guy, I noticed that he is shooting flames out from around his body. He raised his staff in the air, and then flames just shot out all around him, and I was impressed, and he was doing lots of damage to the mobs, and my immediate thought was, oh, I want to do that. I want to be able to do that. So I message him and I find out that it was the skill Impulse. I was I I, I was so amazed. I am very picky about the skills that I choose. I actually have not opened up every single sorcerer or destruction staff skill because in just reading the skill, you don't always get a feel for how it is. So I did unlock Impulse finally. I also unlocked Daedric Mines, which I've been really liking.
Is that blue flame one that goes on the floor that you can kind of throw out there? Because he was doing that in there because you were just amazed at the amount of fire because he was throwing this, what looked like a ball of fire, blue flame in the air. When it hit the ground, it formed a Daedric symbol and like exploded out. Is that the one?
That might be. It kind of happens like that. I don't think it looks like a blue flame though, but yes, you shoot it out and it lands around you, kind of like in a semicircle, and then 3 more circles spawn. And if an enemy steps into it, it takes a few seconds to arm, and then it can just explode and stops them. So I'm enjoying those 2 skills together, and I'm glad I picked them up because they've been working really well, especially with our tail. When we continue our tail section, I was whooping some butt with that impulse skill. I can't wait to see what it looks like with a different staff because I've been using a fire staff right now, and it's just it does so much damage. Oh, I love it. Other than that, I haven't gone back to the daggers yet because with us nearing the end of our Coldharbour journey, I was afraid of dying repeatedly. So yeah, that is where I'm at. How about you?
Well, we are about halfway through Veteran Rank 1. Now, keep in mind, everyone, that we were still in Coldharbour all this time. We hit VR1 a while ago, but we weren't really doing VR quest and zones, so our experience is kind of like playing in a level 30 zone at level 40. That's essentially what we're doing right now. We're leveling off of green monsters, grazing greens at this point. Quester green to gray. That's just how we level. Now, I'm still rocking the light armor because I'm still trying to get 50 in that. I'm getting close. I think I'm 41. I'm also 39 in medium armor, and that's going well. I'm still working on the bow, but I've made some changes to my final build, which may again happen again because I've been playing on ESO Head. I do that from time to time, and I make tweaks. That I am doing away with the bow because as of now, stamina builds are just bad. Like, it is. Now, that being said, I refuse to give up my great sword. That will always be my second weapon set, no matter what, because I love that great sword, and I'm not giving that up. That'll be my melee greatsword. Now, the way my character's done with stats is I have 20 in each magicka and stamina, and then 9 in health. That's my final. Because I do hope they bring back stamina builds a little bit, because I really want to be a hybrid between the two as a Templar. Now, the way my bars are currently set up is I am rocking Execute, Cleave, which now is the one that it's morphed to gave me ultimate, and I'm also using Wrecking Blow, actually thanks to friend of the podcast, Road of TSO Cast. He was talking about Wrecking Blow in TSO Cast a few episodes ago, and so I've changed it or morphed it up to Wrecking Blow, and it's a pretty nice CC and damage ability, even with the long recast time. Then I'm using Biting Jabs from the Adric Spear line, and that's just amazing. And of course my heal, because I need my heal. That's saved us several times already. Ultimate, I'm still rocking the Nova, but as soon as I get my Fighters Guild up to 10, I'm going to put Dawnbreaker on there, morph it to Flawless Dawnbreaker, because that will actually boost my weapon skills, my feats, by quite a bit. Now, for my secondary, I'm still rocking the bow, but my final build's actually probably going to be a Flame Destruction Staff. Yeah. I have a lot of magicka. I'm pretty evenly done, so I'm probably going to go Flame Staff on that. I don't remember offhand what abilities I'm going to be using on that, but once my bow hits 50, I'm going to park that on the shelf and start leveling that Destruction Staff. But I did get, well, of course, by the end of our tales, you'll find out you actually get rank 6 in Soul Magic, and that will unlock the ultimate in that tree. And I wanted that to be my ranged ultimate, because I hear that is just insanely powerful. So that's how my character currently is. He's still running around with medium armor, or light armor, and rocking the bow, but that'll probably change pretty soon too as well. So that's our characters for now. Now, before we begin our tales, because of what we've been working on, which is the final section, I'm going to say it right now, this is a heavy spoilers for the end of the game. So if you have not beaten the final quest of the main storyline, the main scenario, please skip to the next section if you care about spoilers, because this will be very heavy spoilers, and where we left off doesn't allow for a lot of other quests. There were very few other side quests. So check the notes, look at the timestamps, and skip ahead to the next section. All right, so judging from last week where we left off was we had started our assault on the northern third of Coldharbour, and we were making our way across the chasm. Now, if I remember correctly, we made it all the way up to where we ran into that one crazy Dramora lady who had helped us out in the Tower of Lies and in a few other locations, and she actually helps you get the key into the labyrinth, which was the final location that where we left off, our final assault. Now, that's where we left off. Now, we didn't talk about the side panels, though, where we went. Like, the first place when you get into that northern third and you cross the chasm, you assist her and you're launching an assault on the city that Molag Bal has. Like, you ripped it into her. Now, that's like the final assault up into his realm, up until the Endless Stair. Now, while we're in there, it's kind of neat because we rallied all of our forces together and we're making our way through, and we actually have to sneak into this city and cause havoc, and this Dramora lady's helping us out the entire way. And if you played Elder Scrolls, you know you shouldn't make deals with Dramora because it never turns out well. But she's just helping us out. Like, yeah, you should really just, go through this section over here. I hear there's a problem. Like, she's helping you out. You don't really know what her motives are. Now, we lay an assault on the city, and we unbar the magic barring the Fighters Guild and the Mages Guild within the city to allow them to come in. Because when the city was pulled into Coldharbour, the magic around these two guilds locked entry into them. So there was no way to actually get into these guild halls from the outside. So the Dramora were unable to get inside. But likewise, they weren't able to get out either. So they knew a secret path into the bottom of, like, through the basement into the halls. And you had to go in and break the sigils to allow them to launch an assault on the city itself. So now we went and we did that. Now we're pushing forward, pushing all the way up. And the whole idea is to get the key into Molag Bal's labyrinth, his personal chambers, his realm where he's at. And We get all the way up to the top. We have to help some vampires. That was kind of neat. We had a choice. There was something in the what was it called? Go ahead.
It was called the Orchard, and it was all the vampires, and it had I forget the Harvest Heart. Is that what it was? All right, we had to destroy the Harvest Heart, and the quest starts where we have to get rid of these vampires. So we're marking houses that are going to be targeted by the Mages Guild. And every time we go near a vampire lair, there's a woman that pops out that's effectively yelling at us. And every time she does it, it's making me think, like, why does she keep yelling at us? Is this, like, what is the story behind this woman? So we gather all the blood we need, we mark all the vampire lairs, and we're heading to destroy the Harvest Heart for some ritual. And when we get there, there's an argument between that elf. Do you remember what his name was?
Valerian.
That's right. And he's arguing with this vampire mother. And then you're given a choice. Well, my immediate choice is to help the vampire. And Ag and I actually fought for a few minutes over who we wanted to help. And we almost went different ways because he so badly did not want to help the vampires. But I think they made a good case. You know, this vampire mother was saying that Molag Bal tricked her children, and that if we helped her free her children, they would fight for us, help us take down Molag Bal. And the elf guy, all he wanted to do was drive the vampires insane, which I think would have been more of a threat. And after I came to his senses, he realized that, you know, maybe having them all driven insane probably wasn't the best idea. So we both decided to help the vampire. And in turn, we actually did get assistance from these vampires in the orchard, and we were able to destroy the Harvest Heart.
The only reason why I picked their help was because there wasn't an option to just outright massacre them as a whole. Driving them insane, yeah, I'm sitting there going, well, it's great, now they're going to be the bloodthirsty beasts that just eat everything like in Eastmarch. So that's why I went with it. If there was an option just to destroy them all, that's what I would have went with. I hate vampires. Maybe it's, you know, because of that Cyrodiil PvP. Oops, did I say that? Yeah, I did. Now, the next section, which is one of my favorites, is the... oh, crud, what was the name of that place? It was up in the western section. It was... I forget what it was called now. Yes, that's what it is.
It was something... The castle, the Tower of Revelry, I think it was.
Right, now... Thankfully, we do have someone who mentioned it earlier, because we were talking about Stibbins before, but now we actually find him yet again in the throngs of some lovely ladies, and thankfully, you know, this time they're not winged twilights, but they are using illusion to seduce him, so we had to go and save his bum again. It's quite a funny storyline. I really don't want to ruin too much of it, because it's just really funny, like, what happens to the poor old Stibbins, and it just cracked me up. But we actually rescued him. Now, we went to the other side as well, and we found what was called the Lost Fleet, a bunch of these different ships. And here, what had happened was all these different ships had got sucked into Coldharbour at one point in time, and this one guy, became a captain of a ship, made a deal with Molag Bal, and got a crown of bones that allowed him to control all the other skeletons. Now, he's calling himself the Admiral now of all these other ships. And who do we meet there? We actually met her from Shadowfen. Something One-Eye. She's an Argonian kind of... She's not really with the Evanhart pack, but she's kind of like a shady pirate underdealer kind of Argonian scum that she is. I don't really like her. But she wants us to go take revenge on him, so we're going, we got to stop him. But what is really neat is by the end of the quest, when you kill him, she wants the crown. Like, she's like, I talked to several of these skeletons. They're like my dead ancestors, so now they're going to help me. So why don't you give me the crown? And this lady, like, just rubs me the wrong way because she's a pirate and really doesn't have any morals at all. And the type of character I play, the paladin type, I wanted to destroy it. I didn't want to give it to her. So I think that's what we both picked, correct? We both picked to destroy the crown of bones because she's like, oh, I'll just use it and control everything.
She was way too shady for me to choose to give it to her because I liked her, I did, and we were when we were nearing the end of the quest, I'm thinking, okay, she's not that bad, she's talking about how she wants to free these people and she wants to, these are her people and she found parts of her family, but then all of a sudden she goes, so you can give it to me and then I'll use it to stop Molag Bal, and she's like, no, no, this has to be destroyed. There's no way we can allow this to continue. So yes, there was no dispute between us over that. We both wanted to destroy that.
And even so, it was a relic crafted by Molag Bal himself. Like, that's kind of like using fire to fight fire. It just doesn't work. It just exacerbates the problem. That's all it does. So, for the sake of everybody, we destroyed that. Now, we actually made it all the way through the chasm, and one of the neatest parts was we actually find out what that Dremora woman was up to. Apparently, the guy who holds the key, their two clans, like the Dremora clans, apparently, they're like, even though they hate mortal life, they hate each other too. So when they're not killing mortals, they fight each other. It's just a great old bloodbath time for them. And through trickery, he banished all of her clan except for her into the void. Now, apparently, Dremora cannot die. They simply are banished into the void, which I guess they lose all sense of self, and it's just empty nothingness until their bodies reform, and then they're reincarnated essentially back into oblivion. But she's like, it could be a very long time, even amongst my immortal being, a very long time for us to come back when we're slain. We don't die, we just take a very long time to come back. And she swore vengeance, but she also made a promise to him that she would not hurt him by her own hand. So she kind of crafted us into killing him and banishing him into the void. So now we're up to the point where we're pushing in to Molag Bal's realm of the labyrinth. And what's really neat is as we're going through, this is the final push, guys. This is all the way through where we have to go in and put a stop. We go all the way through and we actually go in, and as you're going through, it's kind of neat because you're in his big library. And I heard this was a hard time for people before, where it was kind of bugged out because when you're in his library, you have to shoot flames at these different pipes in the wall to get the door to open. Apparently people were having to jump off in order to get ones, but it actually worked really well for us. We had no problem. The dark room was really fun because we went into this one section that was like completely pitch black. You could hardly see anything. I was casting spells just so I could see by the light of my spells. I know you had your mage light out just so you could see.
I had my mage light, but he also cast a spell on me. If you had noticed, I had two floating around me. That's why wherever I walked, there was always light because I had a spell that he had given me and my mage light, which was good because even in a video game, darkness freaks me out. And we should tell the dungeon story, later. So yes, darkness freaks me out. So I didn't quite enjoy that part because it's really freaky how dark this place was, and it was just, I didn't like it.
Right. And as we're going through, we actually make our way all the way through this and gather our forces together and go into the planar vortex or whatever it's called to stop it. Now, at this point in time, the groundskeeper has revealed to us who she really is. She's Meridia, the Daedric Prince, and the city, of course, is hers. Which, if you play, she gave a lot of hints Even though she kind of knew all about the lights of Meridia and stuff like that, and the way she just acted, it was kind of interesting. But yeah, she actually is Meridia herself in the realm, and she helps and assists you throughout the fight to take it to Molag Bal. Now the sad part is when we actually break the final anchors inside and channel all of our energy into destroying this planar vortex. She yells for everyone to get inside the bubble, but when it goes off, we actually become a beacon of light, and we're the ones who actually destroy the planar, like all the powers channeled through us. But there again, as this game is, Elder Scrolls always sad. We lose some of our friends. The Alien King, Dine, I think his name was. Yeah, and he actually dies. Like, you get to talk to him. Like, your final quest is to talk to him, and he passes off. He's the last of the alien people, and he passes in the Hallowed City. As well as we lose a funny cracking knight, Darian, who I thought was hilarious. But he was outside the blast portal when that went off, and we weren't able to find him either. It was just a really, really sad ending. Now, that doesn't end the story. You still get a call from the prophet and his people to finish off the final part and get your soul back. But we're not going to talk about that one, because that one is the culmination of this story is just awesome, and you will totally enjoy it. You should go out and definitely do that. Now, after all that, one thing I do want to say is Cadwell is hilarious. You should talk to him every chance you get in Coldharbour, because he is just the best character in this game, hands down. But we actually got ported to our next section, which for the VR side, Meridia gives us a gift where we're allowed to see things through the eyes of the enemies, which essentially is a dragon break if you want to go by it. And the first place the Ebonheart pack gets sent to is actually the Daggerfall Covenant. Now, we had been discussing this a little bit before, where because of how the story's portrayed, it's essentially like you're not the hero you were before. No one knows you. That we decided at this point we were going to start on one of our alt classes and start working on those. Now, we didn't know which one we were going to do at the time, because we didn't know where we were actually going to start. Now that we know that Daggerfall is where we started, we picked up our 2 Imperials, because we each created an Imperial for the Daggerfall Covenant, and I made, dun dun dun, an Imperial Dragonknight. And you are an Imperial Templar, correct? Yes. So we actually we performed our Ritual of Mara, and our next tales will probably involve a mixture of our mains gameplay, what we've done, as well as the gameplay of the Daggerfall Covenant, because what we're going to be doing is we're probably going to play through the entire zone as it was meant to be played as Daggerfall, and then we're going to rush through it on our mains just to get the points and stuff, because we want to see how the story was supposed to be portrayed as those original characters. So we're starting the new characters, and when they finish the zone, then we'll probably go and finish the zone on the VR side and leapfrog our way like that. So, one final note is we did get to do a couple dungeons this week with a couple of our guildies, Kipster, our Rent-A-Kip, and I'm going to just call him Trent for now, because he knows who he is, because I can't pronounce his name, because I butchered it when we were in Vent. So, we had a lot of fun. We actually did a couple of the lower dungeon, not lower dungeons, the ones we didn't do, the 45 range ones. It was the Black Sail dungeon and Celine's Web. Now, the main reason why we wanted to even highlight this was I really wish, like, we were in Vent the entire time, just talking while we were working on this, and Thais was freaking out the entire time we were doing Celine's Web dungeon. It got to the point where she actually, when we got to the final boss, which is a giant spider, She screamed, jumped out of her chair, and ran out of the room while we're fighting.
There's a reason for that. We get to the throughout the dungeon. I had been hanging back, and I'm sitting here with my eyes closed, going, "Egg, am I healing? Am I hitting anybody? Is anybody dying?" Because I didn't want to look. And when we get to the final boss room, you have to step out on the battle takes place on her web. So Ag, Kip, and Trent were all standing there going, "Go ahead, Thais. You go out there first." And by this point, I'm already in tears because I don't want to step on the web. And I'm freaking out. And I'm like inching forward, and they're taunting me over vent. "Go on, go, Thais. Go. You got this." So finally, I just close my eyes and I walk out on the web. And oh, it was something out of my worst nightmare because I don't like when the eight-legged things they do that suspended butt dangle. I can't handle it. And then they can go like up and down. It freaks me out. And as soon as the battle starts, it had to be Kipster. I know it was Kipster. As soon as the battle started, he ran at the boss and pulled it right to me. So,
Well, that's because you were like, I'm not going any further. I'm on the web. I'm within range. We're good enough. So Kip's like, all right. He goes, pulls the boss, and drags it directly on top of you.
effectively giving me a heart attack. So then I like ran across the web. I'm like running into things. I'm being webbed. I'm screaming. Ag is laughing. He's holding down his vent button. They're laughing over vent. I eventually have no idea what's going on until the web breaks and we like land like wham right on the ground, and I can finally look again because now we see her alternate form or whatever, and it's a person. And like, oh, okay, I can heal. We're good. But every now and then she would web us, and I jump out of my chair again, and it it was not fun. It was just a nightmare. That butt dangly thing can't handle it.
That was the highlight of my entire week, just so you know. And I think Kip, Trent, and I, we're all going to do a weekly Spindle Clutch and Celine's Web dungeons with you. Just that's what we're going to do every week. We're just going to run those. For no greater reason than to hear you freak out.
We'll have to set up a webcam for one of those, and so you can record me just losing my mind, because I think people would get a kick out of it. Although they might feel kind of bad once I start crying, because it's kind of sad. Although you were laughing.
I was. It was quite funny. It really was. All right, so that ends our tales for this week, and we are going to move on to the next section, which is our dramatic reading. I'm not even going to attempt, and all the power to poor Thais here, because we're on our 7th part of our 8-part series for the Daedric Princes. And you know what? Just take it away. Good luck.
This book is called Fragmente Abyssum Hermaeus Moris. The author is anonymous. So Ysgramor collected the laments of the giant wives and brought them to Froa and Grosta, who twisted them into the woeful bowstring, so that Ysgramor could restring his mighty bow, Long Launcher. And thereafter did Long Launcher sigh when it was born, and moan when it was shot. And Ysgramor decided to take it hunting. And he hunted and slew much game in the moor and Frostwood, until he paused at a ford to drink his fill. Then across the stream bounded the white stag of Forelgrim, and Ysgramor shot at it and missed, which in no wise pleased him, and he swore to pursue the white stag until it fell to him. But the stag was canny and quiet, and passed as a mist over the snow, so that Ysgramor did again and again sight it and lose it. For even the sighing of the woeful bowstring made more sound than did the white stag. when again he lost the trail and stopped, sore vexed, and Hare did appear and spake, saying, The stag hieth down into yon vale. How knoweth you this? Demanded Ysgramor of the Hare, which replied, I know, for I have long ears. Yea, had you ears as long as mine, you too could hear your prey wherever it went. Would then, said Ysgramor, that my ears were as long as thine. At that the Hare's nose did twitch, and Ysgramor felt his ears begin to grow and point. But a fox did leap from the coppice and fell upon the Hare, slaying it. And Ysgramor, in wonder, felt his ears dwindle to their wonted size. And the fox spake, saying, Know thou, mortal, that I am sure, and this was nary Hare, but indeed Hermamora, who did nearly trick thee into becoming of elven kind. Rely you hereafter, mortal, upon the forthright methods of man, and eschew the tricks of the elves, lest ye become one. Now go, for the white stag awaiteth thee in the vale. Hermamora pado adao, nagaya aba agakava, apakra dana goria gandra arkan. Hermaeus Mora, elder than Ada, abyssal cephaliarch, hearken to the plea of this unworthy, for I come to barter for knowledge denied. That which I seek is named on this parchment, which I consume in your honor, O demon of knowledge. For my desire to know is beyond reckoning, and in recompense, whatever price his name shall be met, a Hermamora. A Hermamora alta dun patome lacan I. My next dream was of Apocrypha, where I walked the halls of shadow among the nameless books, among concepts and arguments I inhaled like smoke, and my left hand was a scroll of vellum, and my right hand a plume, and I wrote histories as I passed, yet the scroll was unfilled, for as I wrote words beneath the words above vanished. Then I paused at a plinth of lapis, for it contained an object heretofore unremarked, an urn with a curious finial. So I set aside scroll and plume, grasped the finial, and lifted the lid. Within the urn was a viscous and noisome fluid, upon which floated, grey and glistening, a mortal's organ of thought. And I knew, though I know not how, that the fluid was not brine, and the brain was not preserved, but alive, alert, and brooding with a dark intellect. I dropped the lid and looked up from the urn, and saw, beyond the plinth, a long and endless corridor, lined left and right with plinths unaccountable, and upon each plinth was its urn, which was why when I awoke my tongue was bitten through.
Hermaeus Mora is one weird guy. Like, seriously.
That was probably the best book I've ever read. That was so much fun. Especially that part when I was speaking in a different language. I loved it. I hope it came out okay.
Oh, it sounded perfect from my end. It really did. And props to you for reading that. Like, it's they say that Hermaeus Mora, like, he has so much knowledge that it literally drives people insane just trying to find stuff. So, and they get lost always searching for endless knowledge. It seems kind of interesting how this book almost seems like it would fit more with Sheogorath than with Hermaeus Mora, with how it just kind of jumps everywhere. But yeah, so that was our dramatic reading. Our next section, the community spotlight, I wanted to do one for TamrielJournal.com again. And in particular, they have just released a provisioning recipe master list. If you are a completionist like me, oh my goodness. Like, all the other stuff was, there's not recipes. You make them from a list. You actually had to learn recipes for cooking, and there are lots of them. And they have compiled a complete list for everyone. Now, again, as they said, each alliance has their own version of the lower level foods, the 1 through 35. So there's essentially 3 sets of 1 through 35 recipes. But if you're interested, they have a full list. So you can check your list against this to make sure you have all of it, or go after and find out what it is. Find one that you're missing, go out and buy it, because I know I'm going to be using this because I am a completionist and I want all the recipes. So now I'll be able to make a checklist off of this to make and scratch off the ones I have and the ones I don't. So if you're interested, check out tamrieljournal.com and look for their ESO provisioning recipe master list. Thank you, Tamriel Journal. I love you guys. You are a great part of the Elder Scrolls Online community. Keep up the amazing work. Okay. Okay. Next up, if anyone is interested in joining our guild, as always, the Friends and Family Guild for Tales of Tamriel, you can whisper or send an in-game mail to @Aggelos, that's Aggelos, or @Teareater, TEAREATER, for an invite to the guild so you can chat with us. Also, for those who want the PvP with us, even though there's really not a lot of PvP in Cyrodiil, we are representing the Ebonheart Pact on the Hope's Fire campaign, Blood for the Pact. All right, now it's the time of the show where we talk about our emails and iTunes. You know what? You're just going to read all of them.
All right, iTunes. Excellent podcast, needs fine-tuning on volume levels, 5 stars. Tales of Tamriel is an amazing podcast, and all the segments are really enjoyable, especially the in-game book readings. The one con that is annoying, but not worth taking off stars for, is the host voices vary. Some are very soft, others very loud, and sometimes the background music overpowers the host. By Skyshark.
Definitely thank you for the 5-star review, and we are working on normalizing the audio volumes. I've been adjusting Theis's volume on her mic because she's a little quieter than me. I have the booming thoom of a voice that no one can seem to get away from, but my co-hosts tend to be a lot quieter than me. When we have guests on the show, it is kind of hard because I can mess with her mic a little bit because I know the hardware she's using, and we can kind of fine tune between ourselves. But sometimes when we have guests on the show, I can't control what they're using. So as a whole, when we bring guests on the show, I actually plan on doing calls with them before. And if your mic is terrible, then you can get a better mic before we bring you on the show, because we do want to provide a great show for people, and we want them to be able to understand us. So hopefully you'll hear improvements in the audio once I can get some more normalization between mine and Theis's mics.
And as for me, I am trying to teach myself to speak louder. You may not believe this, but I'm not much of a talker. So I'm working on it though. So I will keep trying. Next is an email from Carnigan. Comment: Hi, Aggelos and Thais. Just listening to episode 20 and enjoying it so far. I just heard the part where you asked about Stibbons and where he shows up again. Stibbons is a character who shows up in the Daggerfall Covenant campaign, doing his duty for the Lady Rant, who I believe you met in Coldharbour at the Cursed Library. You will have lots of time with the two of them, as they are reoccurring characters who you will see throughout all of the zones. Their quests are always a fun time, but I will say that what happens to him in Coldharbour are probably the nicest things that happens to Stibbons in the game. Wow, that's pretty interesting.
Sucks for Stibbons. I mean, those who've known who Stibbons looks like, he's not very attractive of a Breton. So it's kind of funny that the only people showing him interest are like Dremora and like winged harpy creatures. Poor Stibbons.
An email from Azarul. For your information, or FYI, I will go out of my way to kill anyone I see in Cyrodiil that is wearing pink Power Ranger outfit. Just a warning. Love the show. Thanks, guys. That's okay. I will still wear pink.
I support this wholeheartedly.
Too bad you can't kill me in Cyrodiil. Next is from
Can't
Dana.
kill anyone in Cyrodiil. There's no one there.
Unless you're a Dragonknight vampire sorcerer.
That's right. There's only one of those in every campaign, and they wipe everyone.
Next is from Dana. So I only recently began listening to your podcast, so I understand this is like months late. And I was listening to your discussion about being able to buy the ability to have any race in any faction, and I wanted to bring up one point. This applies to myself as well. I planned to pre-order ESO, but I couldn't. My family is going on a vacation to the Caribbean with my family for 10 days, and we are literally broke. At 17, yes, I still live with my parents. Not only that, but I wanted to buy the game myself. It's not the same when I begged my parents to get it for me. My dad wanted to pre order it as well. Personally, I couldn't care less what faction I am, and I like Bretons, Nords, and Bosmer, so I'm all set to be with my friends. But what about people that got hit by economic troubles before the pre order was available and didn't get back to their feet until it was too late? I wanted to know your opinion on that. I am very eager to play ESO when I have the money to buy it. I was on the beta. I had a great time aside from some bugs I encountered in my horrible computer screen that wouldn't let me see anything at nighttime or indoors anywhere. Expect to hear from me again.
Well, excellent. I'm glad that that you started listening. That's really cool. Um, Thankfully, you guys can still get the stuff because they are offering the Imperial Edition as a you know as a just an in-game upgrade. If you're referring to the pre-order bonuses, here's a tip for you guys: if you don't care about the Imperial Edition or if you don't mind spending money for an upgrade, go to I know our local Walmart, and wherever you would go, check around because people still have games if they were made prior to, I guess, whatever, they have codes pre-printed in them. If they were in the first release, you can still get pre-order codes. Our local Walmart where we live still has copies of at least the standard edition of Elder Scrolls that do have the pre-order bonuses. So I don't think they will ever bring it into as like maybe a store item. But it is still, if you search, some places who have the original first run of boxes can still get the pre-order codes to play anywhere you want. So take that as a tip. Now, my opinion on the ability to get special here's something I'm going to bring in. I've been following a lot of different games over the past couple, I don't know, years. And one of the big crazes now are all these different Kickstarter games that are coming up, and all these different free to play games and stuff like that that offer items that you can only get for a limited time. They're nice, and yeah, I hate when things like this are presented, especially as a buy item. For instance, just a couple days ago, I got an email from Neverwinter saying that they had a relic in their Zen store that was only available for 2 days. I forget what it did. It was like Forbidden Book of Knowledge. But it was a relic that you could only get for those 2 days, and they were taking it away. Anyone who had the money at that point in time were able to get it. Am I against cash shop stores? A little bit, except for vanity items and stuff like that. I come from an old school MMO gamer where everything, when you got the game and you were paying for your subscription, everything was included. WoW broke that mold when they started offering their shop, which now essentially they have a cash shop plus a subscription fee, and a lot of other games are now doing that as well. I don't count services in that. Name changes, server stuff, server transfers, that kind of stuff should be a paid service. Coming from a network administrator and knowing the type of work that is required to transfer data from server to server, that does put a little, you're not really paying for that. You're paying the tech people to make that change. Yes, they might have developed software to make it very easy and robust, depends who it is, but someone had to develop the process of transferring data from here to here. You are going above and beyond what was intended from the game. You should pay extra. My place of employment, when IT is involved, like if a customer asks for something that an IT needs to get involved with, we actually charge our customer for our IT time, because our bank pays us to help the bank. keep everything running. They don't pay us to help customers, but when we do, we're supposed to give the amount of hours that we help them, and they charge the customers for that because that's not part of our normal job description. I don't mind that kind of stuff. I think that should be paid for. When it comes to items like this, I'm not a fan of them going away either. As for pre-order bonuses, I mean, they are what they are. It's not a pre-order bonus if you can get it any time. And the whole idea of pre-order bonuses are to try to front load the company with money at the start of a game launch to make people go, oh, if I pre-order it, I'll get these bonuses. That way the company knows, okay, this is how many people we know we're going to have at the start of the game. And it actually helps them project a little bit when they get those final numbers in. It goes, oh, we had 1 million people pre-order. We need to make sure our service can handle at least 1 million people. It's a good metric for them to go off of. So pre-order bonuses, I really don't feel they should be available after the pre-order time. I feel bad for the people who do find financial issues, because trust me, I know. Sometimes I wish I could buy those statues that they have from Gaming Heads but I'm not going to throw down $300 for them. I don't have $300 at this point in time to just spend on something like that. And with only 1,500 of them being made, I probably will not get the chance. It sucks, yes, but that's how it goes. That's how I feel about it. Do you have anything you want to say about that?
Just that I pretty much agree. It does suck if you don't have the money to shell out, especially for a game that you really want. But then waiting just pumps it up more, because then you can listen to the podcast and you can still kind of experience it. And then when you get it, you're happy. And I know for me, I always feel, in some way, shape, or form, I always feel special when I'm able to get those pre-order bonuses, because then I kind of have things that not every other player has. So I'm glad a lot of times when they take away those bonuses that they're not available for everybody, because it just kind of puts me away from all the lesser peons. I kind of enjoy that, although it does make me sad that you weren't able to get what you wanted.
And again, just as a personal note here, before you buy it online or anything, check your local stores. Your GameStops, your Walmarts, your Targets. Check there first. If you really want the pre-order for you and your dad, check there first, because I can tell you right now, I know that at our Walmart, they have a couple of them still available that have pre-order codes. If you look around, you can get them.
Our Walmart also has the boxes that have the nifty maps that go with them.
Oh, I see. I'm like waving for her to go ahead and keep reading emails. Well, that's the end of our emails. All right. Well, now it's time for our closing thoughts. See, we run a real professional podcast here. I'm not even paying attention to the show notes. All right. Final thoughts. And we'll let everyone know where we can follow us. So, Thais, ladies first, give us your final thoughts for this episode.
As always, I think I say it every single show, but I will never stop saying it. I loved the book that I read. I got to speak in a different language or something. I don't know what it was. I had to practice that before the show. So I hope it came out okay. It was a good show. I'm glad we got to talk about our ending adventure in Coldharbour, and I hope that everyone gets a chance to experience it, because it really is fantastic. Just the culmination of everything you had been working towards. If you want to find me in game, you can find me at Tear Eater, TearEater.
Excellent. And as for myself, fantastic show. Light on the news. Got a little rough around the edges with ZeniMax and our host rant, but that's why I started calling it the host rant now too, instead of just discussion title. But we do love ZeniMax. We gave a hard time today, but we do love them. They're doing a fantastic job. We love their game, hence why we still play it and are still addicted to it like crazy. Going forward in the next couple weeks, you'll probably hear us, like I said, talking about our alt characters, so you'll be able to hear from that as well as our VR journey. And yeah, so you can follow me in game at Aggelos. That's Aggelos. I do have a personal Twitter account. I don't use it too terribly often, but people have been following me on it now. So that is at Aggelos_WOF. That is my personal Twitter. So that's it. So I want to thank you guys and my host, my beautiful co-host over here, for joining me this evening. Thank you for everyone listening to this podcast. If you wish to help support the podcast, feel free to donate via the PayPal link on our website. If you wish to contact us with questions, comments, criticisms, the website for the show is talesoftamriel.com, or you can email the show at podcast@talesoftamriel.com. You can follow the show on Twitter at Tales of Tamriel, Facebook at facebook.com/Tales of Tamriel podcast, or on YouTube at youtube.com/Tales of Tamriel. Also, feel free to rate and subscribe to us via iTunes. That helps us out so much, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this episode of Tales of Tamriel. Have a great